Are we ready to get started? Yeah. Good. Thanks for coming, everyone. My name is John Foley. I hope you have a great time here today. We're going to talk about a variety of things. We'll certainly social media. We'll do a little bit on mobile. And I'd like to thank, let's give it up to Jim Rigney for the welcoming that he gave me when he walked in. All right, I also would like to thank Mossberg and their team. We had a great time yesterday. Hopefully we'll have a good time today, right? Right. We have a good time with you having a good time. And not only a good time, but we'll learn some things. I got a chance to meet a couple of folks here, right, Barbie? Right, so we get to meet Barbara, right, so we'll have a good time, but it's very helpful if I say something, you don't understand, that you stop, so what do you mean? That's one rule is the road. The other one is that we engage. So if you have an idea or something that you're doing in your business that might apply, it's really helpful if you share it with the rest of the audience instead of me chatting about it. So that's kind of the only two rules I have. Let me tell you a little bit about me. So I have two companies. That's me. Right? I love marketing. So we'll get through all this, right? So the other thing today, the advantage today is you're going to learn how to speak in a whole other language, right? And you'll add R's where they don't belong, and then you'll take them away where they do belong. It's not easy. You think it's easy to speak like this? So we'll go through that. But I started two companies. This one here is an enterprise marketing platform where you can do all kinds of things. You can learn about all of this later. I'm not here to take up your time to do that. And then I also started a marketing company, so a lot of these things that we do together, we'll learn, and we probably might even overlap in a few things. A couple of claims to my fame here is I've written a couple of books, actually 3. The reason I say a couple is the middle one isn't too far off from the first one. So I wrote a book to help the print industry diversify their offerings to sell value-added solutions to help their enterprise customers do a better job of their marketing efforts. And I did that in 2009. And then the mailing industry is in the same boat. So I modified it a little bit and used some case studies in there. And I'm not saying this will apply to everybody in here. And then the last one, I really love the mobile marketing space. And we'll talk about why, and I'm sure you all know why, as we move along. So everybody have your phone on, right? This is a phone on event, phone on the table, iPad, anything you have, right? Because it's about engaging today. Right? I don't struggle with anybody right now sending a text message because they're going to get their work done, because that's how we communicate. Maybe not everybody, but we do. This is my Twitter handle. A little bit of exercise today. How many people are on Twitter? Right hand. Right. Left hand. How many people are on LinkedIn? Right. Good. Well, keep them up. See if anybody's using their right hand. Okay, good. All right, so it's very important that you pay attention. So anyways, I'd love to have your post on. We created a little hashtag here so you can all follow along the conversation. And let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. How communication is changing, which you probably know a lot of this. And then how you can find success in social. And then really the closing part will be the steps to achieve with some mobile stuff in there. So what I'd like to start with is this thing I call the kitchen table effect. All right, I'm going to call it a young audience here at some level. How many folks have teenagers at home? All right, so we're going to have a third here. All right, not to be proud. I got teenagers. Yes, they drive me crazy when I have teenagers. But at home at my house, my teenagers and my 27-year-old at the kitchen table, it's okay to use your devices. Right? So we have, they can use their phones. Now, when we're all talking, it's a little rude not to be, looking to eye contact, but guess what? That's the way they communicate today. And the way that you probably do when you were teenagers and you came up, if the smartphone was here. So my whole thing about the kitchen table effect, if you just watch how this generation communicates, right, you can be more adaptive. How many folks still have a phone in their house, the regular phone line? Right? Regular phone line? How many people answer that? Okay, look at him, he's like this. When it rings in our house, we're all looking at each other. It's not for me. It's not for me, right? We don't even use that way of communication. When they want to connect with their friends, by the time they get up from the dinner table, they've got more plans with 50 friends than I could ever do in my high school days. Am I right? Where they're going, I mean, the way they communicate is different. The other thing they've never done, well, that's not true, they did once, they've never gone to the mailbox. Right? So I have this generation of these, my older guy did, my 19-year-old went to the mailbox last year, so he's going to be a sophomore in college this year, but he became a freshman, so the summer before he went to the mailbox. Why did he go to the mailbox? College acceptance. The only reason why he went to the mailbox. Now, that doesn't mean that the mailbox is totally dead or print is dead, but the way you communicate with them, a starter isn't probably through the piece, so maybe we find a different way to get them back in there. But my whole concept here is the way they communicate has changed, and they all have these, right? So they'll have some level of smartphone if they don't. But we still have generational differences, so even though I'm talking about them not going to the mailbox or doing, what about my dad? 85 years old. You think you can reach him via text message? Look, nod with me. I know you zoomed in. That's it. Good. All right. Awesome. He's good. He's right. Is he going right through me? But anyways, thank you. Difference, right? So we have to think about, and there's all kinds of folks in between, right? And we're trying to figure out our marketing campaigns and our target audience, and we have to consider all this because there's a right method depending on who we're trying to reach. So communication's totally changed. And I really believe, and I think you probably do, technology, again, has really changed the way we work and play in our world, right? And disruption is the name of the game. Some of the big disruptors I'll talk about in a minute, which you've been on a long period of time, is like the internet, right? Netscape was a big disruptor in a communication methodology, right? And finally, is everybody interested in the same type of communication? How many people think email is dead? Left hand. Okay, Barbara, would you tell me why you think email is dead before I move on? Okay, that's good. But, right? So everyone's interested in the same different. So just like here, you know, she doesn't use her email anymore. Right? But that doesn't mean we don't have different things that we can do here to connect with them. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Right here, how many people are on Pinterest? Very good. Their companies are on Pinterest. Or you help companies get on Pinterest. Right, good. Let's see. Sometimes I ask questions, they're not going to be able to answer that one. I like when Pinterest came along because I had a lot of people, naysayers, saying, well, how will that ever apply to B2B space? You know, we had a bunch of women that use Pinterest, right? That's how it started, right? Well, now it's big brands on Pinterest, huh? It's really easy to take a picture and let people follow along and make connections there. But my point here is that everybody is not interested in the same communication. So we have these disruptors in the business world. Back in the early 90s, that disruptor was when we laid the web, i.e. Netscape, on the internet, we had a whole different communication methodology. And I certainly didn't invent that. Alan lived it. But I don't even know why I remember that. I guess it was the way I presented it. But it was interesting to me when that came along. So I was like, wow, this is awesome. And it was years that people were still like, you know, kind of naysayers whether this thing was ever going to take off, right, in terms of the internet. Now here we are. We had the old .com bubble. For those of you that weren't teenagers, right, there was this thing called the .com bubble 10 years ago. No, 13 years ago, right? Was it 2010? Right? And there was a lot of things that hit the skids that would have been successful today. There was this whole adoption and all that. But then we have other disruptors, right? We have this in the communication, marketing communications. Mobile, for sure. But what about these channels like social, channels like Facebook, Twitter? For the folks that raise their hands on that they have teenagers, do they use Twitter today or do they use Facebook? Is that, I mean, I found that kind of amazing in myself as a disruptor because I saw a whole community of kids in our thing move from Facebook to Twitter, like almost overnight. Maybe 2 weeks, a month, and they all switched over. How come?
Because we're on Facebook.
You know what? I love that answer. But see, for me, I was a big Twitter guy, right? So I love Twitter. I made money from Twitter, right? So I'm like, and I'm watching them all, and I'm thinking, yeah, they are dropping F-bombs all over the place on Twitter.